Well, let me officially welcome you to the Congress, the interactive segment of the morning cruise this morning. My name is Rachael David Whyt, and today is known as the International Day to Protect Education from Attack. Today is Thursday, the 9th day of September 2021. That's what we'll be talking about. Is education actually under attack in the world, in Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom State? This and many more we're going to talk about. And of course, we usually do not do this alone. We always bring experts to talk to you on things concerning issues like this. Today, I told you already, is International Day to Protect Education from Attack. And it's set out by the United Nations General Assembly. It was set out in 2020. It is observed on the September 9th of each year. And our guest in the house today is Citizen Mathew Koffi Okono, MKO. He is, this man has so much in his portfolio. He has so much, all right? So I'm going to take our time to tell you who he is. He is a publisher, open forum, productivity advocate, public affairs analyst, and solutionist. Also a former Transition Committee Secretary and Supervisor for Education in Selecta Local Government Council. He is founder and director, General Forum of Former Local Government Political Appointees and Officers, AK31. Has also served as the Akwa Ibom State think tank on education, the authors of the Akwa Ibom Strategic Education Roadmap, Acts 2020 to 2030, as the community affiliate. He is Secretary General, Adagi Ibibio Elders Forum. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
All right, it's good to have you. This smile on your face, I like it.
You just made it happen. You're very welcome here.
All right, thank you so much. Well, today is International Day to protect education from attack. Okay, so that takes us to the first question.
Yeah.
How relevant do you think this day is in line with the achievements the United Nations have sought out over the years?
Thank you very much first for having me, and I want to say good morning to our listeners out there. And I also want to commend your station. It's the first time I'm here.
Thank you so much.
When I got the call, I said, wow, it's an opportunity. I have to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Especially looking at even the topic.
Okay.
Yeah. You describe me as an expert. I'm not an expert. Mm-hmm. I'm only a citizen, a conscious citizen who's interested in development, who asks questions, who researches, who tries to make contributions.
That makes you know what you're doing.
Yes, the best I can.
Okay.
But I just believe that there are ideas everywhere in the world. We should be asking too much questions without answers. So if I can't provide the answer, there's somebody out there that can provide an answer to anything. So back to your question.
All right, so I asked...
you asked about the day, relevance of the day.
Yeah.
Yes, I was saying back to the question. See, everything that has a day, everything that has attention kind of gets addressed. And sincerely, the International Day to Protect Education from attacks is really not known yet. Why? Because it was initiated last year. I'm even sure that some stakeholders in the sector may not even be aware of this day. And that is why what you're doing is so important for the citizens and for the people in the education sector. The attention being given is going to bring to the fore critical issues, especially in Nigeria, where education is under very terrible attack. Not just in the northern part, which is the epicenter of terrorism, where schools have been shot, where children have been, some of them killed, some of them abducted, and some of them have not been found for years running, and the child, child marriage or whatever they call it, and the lack of the adoption or domestication of the Child Rights Act. In the north, most of the states have not done it. It's likely in the northern part. And so this conversation will help to stimulate the awareness, create the needed awareness on what should be done to protect education from attack. And mind you, it's not just physical assault from banditry, you have some very silent attacks. You have corruption.
All right, we're going to come
yes,
into that in details. Let's get to find out the theme for the day. The theme says protect education, serve a generation, meaning that education for kids and children is a very vital thing.
Yeah.
And then while trying to answer the first question, you told us that you confirmed the answer to the question I wanted to ask, is education actually under attack?
Okay.
So you confirmed that it's
Yes.
under attack.
Seriously.
All right, let's get to find out these things that are really attacking education in the world.
Yeah. Globally, the worst form of attack on education, before we now have this banditry in Nigeria, the worst form recently has been the COVID.
Okay.
COVID placed a very terrible attack on education globally. Over 90-something% of pupils, students were out of school because schools were shut globally. So that was a very major problem. And for us in this part of the world where we don't have alternative to going to the classroom to learn, it was complete shutdown. Complete shutdown. And when you add the COVID of 2020 to the fact that we've been facing a terrible state of insecurity, particularly in the northern part of Nigeria, it becomes not just a pandemic, something worse than that. It's, the insecurity has been a tsunami of a devastating proportion on education, particularly in Nigeria, because whatever happens globally, you have to look at within your constituency.
Narrow it down home.
Narrow it down
Okay,
home.
considering the Zamfara school shut down and of course the Just University.
Beyond that, I think a number of states have shut down schools. Kano, Kaduna, some schools in Sokoto State, quite a number of schools have been shut down. And you can imagine the damage that has done. And then, most importantly, you know, the reason why these schools have been shut down is in line with what the #1 insurgent group, terrorist group, Boko Haram, what has been their desire, which is Western education is evil.
All right,
It's
away
haram.
from Nigeria,
Yes.
how about Afghanistan?
Afghanistan is a peculiar case. Afghanistan, very peculiar. Peculiar in the sense that their belief does not even allow, particularly women, to assess what we may call education.
But what danger does it pose to the girl child?
Enormous dangers. If there's no equity, if a girl child is not treated, given equal treatment with a male child, that in itself is terrorism. So the girl child, particularly in that part of the world, I just saw a picture a few days ago. They have started schools there, and then they have to use curtain to
Separate
separate
the boys.
not the girls from the boys, men from women, not even about girls. And you know, you cannot, as a girl, walk on the street alone. You are not supposed to step out from your apartment to be on the street. And this may shock you. You can Google it. You can't peep from the window. You cannot stand on the balcony of your house as a girl child, as a woman. And you need to cover completely except your toes. So with what is happening there now, and the fact that this is what the Taliban want, this is what the extremists who believe that they are doing the correct form of Islamic worship are doing, it is something that it will further destroy education. It will further cause the havoc in that sector to be something that you can hardly address, except there is a turnaround, complete turnaround. And this is an ideology. It becomes difficult. You don't go to war with physical weapons. Then how do you do it? But when you look at just opposite with what goes on in Saudi Arabia and maybe Dubai, United Arab Emirates, they are having education there. The extremism is not there, but this is the Mecca for their parents.
Just before we get back to
Yeah.
the main attacks on educational system or the education sector.
Here is an amazing offer you cannot afford to turn down. Your preferred station, Premium 89.9 FM, is out with a special bonanza. Pay for 3 slots of ads and get 1 free. Pay for 5 and you get 2 free. It's that simple. The more slots you pay for, the more free slots you gain. Visit our station, Premium 89.9 FM, Abak Akwa Ibom State, or call our marketing hotlines on 0706 1765284 or 0912 4898994. Our offer lasts while it can. Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, so now let's get back to answering that question, which is very, very, very important. Education, you agree, is under attack.
It is.
Now let's find out those things that are really, really attacking education here in Nigeria and beyond.
In Nigeria, first of all, you need to know that we have not, as a country, we cannot boast of a roadmap. Anything that does not have a roadmap is prone to, being abused. The 6334 policy, I think that was brought up far back in, is it 70s or late 80s or early 80s, and ever since, the authorities have not looked at it to think what is it producing the required result. We needed to look at some children who are not able to proceed academically and then have them train on entrepreneurship. So that was why it was broken down to the first, after the primary school, the 6 years in primary school, and then you have the, what do you call it now, the junior secondary, 3 years, the senior secondary, 3 years,
and the
university, depending on the course you are reading. But now, the 3 years of the junior secondary is just in the name. Everybody moves to senior secondary. There's no safety net to see a child that is unable to do well academically, but could be very good in craft, could be very good in sports, could be very good in entrepreneurship whatsoever, or technical education, which is not even given its pride of place. Like in the Akwa Ibom State here, I think we have about only 10 technical schools, and we need this technical knowledge so much to build our economy. Everybody wants to go to grammar school. So it has not done so well in terms of lack of roadmap, but as we progress, we get to look at what Akwa Ibom State government is doing differently, which by the grace of God, His Excellency Governor David Whyt has done excellently well in that area, because we have a roadmap which we will look at in the course of the program. But generally speaking, the political will, the kind of thing that Awolowo did in the Western region, where he gave the highest budgetary allocation to education anywhere in the world, and maybe so far as much as 41 to 42 or so % of the entire budget of Western region was given to education, and he made education free and almost compulsory, and that's why we have the West. They have advanced so very much. You have almost third, fourth, fifth generations of graduates and all that. So funding is a critical issue. Very critical issue, which has not been given attention, even by UNESCO United Nations standard. We are supposed to have, for developing countries, about 20% to 26% of our budgetary allocation should be allocated to education. But unfortunately, what do we have? Maybe 5, maybe 3, maybe 7%, and that cannot help. And when you are talking about free education, as been talked about now, free education is being seen as a political slogan. If you say it, or you want to stop it, you become unpopular. So some governments still talk about free education, whereas it is not free. And for me, the more you talk about free education, you are alienating the people from the reality. And it is very important that we define free education for what it is. Is it free tuition, or is it really free education? So, and then you come to the issue of corruption. The budget for education, whatever has been given to education, how has it been used in the first place? Remember that funding for education shouldn't be on government alone. What measures have been put in place for parents to buy in and support education? That has not been addressed. And then the worst form of it all, which is insurgency, terrorism. It is not peculiar to the North. The North is the epicenter now, yes, but there are other forms of terrorism in the South. You have cultism, which makes some children who are from good homes, who are not ready to be part of gangs, they are uncomfortable being in school because of the fear of being bullied. It is a problem. It is a very big problem. Until it is addressed, what will end up is seeing that, oh, there seems to be peace. But you don't know that a child, a very innocent child, has been conscripted into a cult group, and he fits in, and before you know it, they form gangs, and then they are not really after education. They don't need to even pass before moving to the next class. If you have had discussion with some teachers, you will hear that some children don't pass, and they will just carry their debts from, what do you call it, JS3
to SS1.
To SS1. And you don't dare tell them not to. You don't dare do it. So if teachers are open up to authorities or like NGOs that should really work on these things, lead with teachers, they will get to know what exactly is going on. That the seeming peace we have is not really peace, a kind of a peace of the graveyard. There's something evil going on under, which we should arrest. And this very conversation is helping to bring these matters to the fore.
All right, in case you're just tuning in, then this is the Congress, the interactive segment of a morning cruise this morning on Premium 89.9 FM. And today is International Day to Protect Education from Attack. And of course, this morning we have been joined by Citizen Mathew Koffi Okono, MKO. He's publisher, open forum, productivity advocate, public affairs analyst, and solutionist, and many more. All right, so let's get down here. You've talked about the issue of banditry. You've talked about the issue of cultism in school, lack of roadmap.
Yeah.
How about the issue of maybe facilities and even striking actions?
That's part of the corruption, because any of these areas, there's an initiative that you can expand. Infrastructures are not there.
Okay.
They are there, they are not inadequate. If you narrow down to Akwa Ibom State, you will discover that successive administrations have paid great attention to education. We've been blessed with leaders with vision, and then by the grace of God, a lot has been done, but the lot that has been done is grossly inadequate. That is why when His Excellency Governor David Emmanuel set up the Akwa Ibom State Education think tank, headed by the distinguished Professor Hilary Yam, which, like you introduced, I was co-opted into that committee to work as a community affiliate. We have a roadmap that is second to none in this country. Second to none. 17 initiatives, which all of them are well detailed out, and if and when that Akwa Ibom strategic education roadmap, AXA 2020 to 2030, is implemented, I can assure you that Akwa Ibom State is going to become a reference point in terms of how education is run, because after the 17 initiatives, each of them is dedicated to specific issues. Infrastructure addressed with budget, what is going to take to fund education, to make infrastructures up to date for the next 10 years. So, and other areas. It's quite an enormous task.
All right, thank you very much. Well, just to let you know that you can be part of this conversation this morning by calling us on 0904 1234899 at 0904 1234899, or you can call us on 0912000899. That's 0912000899. This morning we were talking about today actually is International Day to Protect Education from Attack. So that's what we're talking about. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Congress.
Yes, good morning, MKO.
Good morning,
the
sir.
Voice of the People.
Thank you,
My
sir.
name is David. I'm calling from you. Yes, that topic is quite very interesting and quite very timely. And the problem we are having in education sector is because the government has refused has refused to declare state of emergency in that sector. And that is where it's declaring. And I pray in the next 5 years to come, we shouldn't have the worst state as it is today. Like what Mkeko is saying, I really agree with him. Now, the government coming up on board to set up a committee is not actually the problem of setting up a committee, because I knew that that committee is made up of people of proven integrity as long as the education sector is concerned. But my problem is, would the government actually look into the recommendation of that committee? Would the government actually go in to give detail of what the committee recommends, so that the slogan that we always say that youth are the leaders of tomorrow, would the youth become the leaders of tomorrow when they are not educationally formed? This is actually the questions we, the citizen, really need to know. MKO, I really appreciate your effort. Thank you very much.
I thank you, David. Rachel, will you allow me to just take that?
No, go ahead.
Yes, David, I thank you for your kind words. But first of all, I want to correct an impression. You said that government has refused to declare a state of emergency. Akwa Ibom State government has declared a state of emergency on education. That was done on the 25th of November 2020. I was privileged to be part of the about 10-man delegation led by Professor Hilary Yang. We went to the State Executive Council to present the Akwa Ibom State Strategic Education Roadmap 2020 to 2030. And His Excellency... I want to ask a question. No, let me just... Go ahead.
What has been the change in public school?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Like you heard me earlier, I had said that the strategic roadmap is there. What matters is the implementation. But to clear the air that as a state of emergency been declared on the education sector in the Akwa Ibom State, the answer is yes. But the next question will be, how effective has that been? That is where we have issues. And you know how frank I am, not just because I'm privy to the kind of roadmap that we have, but the plans. Yes, the plan. The initiatives, the recommendations are still begging for attention, and as an opportunity to appeal to the authorities. I have thanked His Excellency. I'll keep thanking him for that singular act, but the level of implementation of the roadmap is not in line yet with the recommendations. I say that in authority because I am privy to it. I have a copy of the roadmap. I was part of the team that put that document up. It's not just a document. It is something that will transform. It is to the credit of this administration. This administration has about 3 years in that plan, 2020 to 2023. The next administration has a lot to do. You just come and pick up a document that deals with everything in the education sector. So I want to still appeal to the government beyond the pronouncement. Those initiatives, they have timelines. And if those timelines are met, even by 20-30%, not even 50%, we'll see transformation.
All right, let me just use this time to chip in this question. Akwa Ibom State government has said that it has dedicated all interministerial direct labor projects to education sector to address infrastructure deficits in public school. Now, how far has this helped?
It is part of the initiative. I think I have a guide here. This is the Akwa Ibom State Education Challenges and AXA 2020-2030 to 2030 response initiatives that addresses them. There are 17 of them. Number one is physical infrastructure improvement programs for Akwa Ibom State institutions. That's number one in our recommendations. Number two is the equipment and furnishing enhancement program for Akwa Ibom education institution. That's the second initiative. You have the educational programs and processes improvement systems for Akwa Ibom State institutions. 3, 4, Akwa Ibom State strategic research and innovation support program. 5, Akwa Ibom educational materials provision program for public libraries and academic institutions. Then we have the 6, Akwa Ibom teacher recruitment and teaching skills enhancement program. 7, Akwa Ibom 4th Industrial Revolution, that is Skills Transition Support Program. 8, Akwa Ibom Community Ethics Support and Enhancement Program for academic institutions. 9, Akwa Ibom Community Lifelong Learning Program, very interesting program. Then you have 10 as Akwa Ibom Talent Identification, Scholarship, and Internship Support Program. 11, Akwa Ibom Coverall Program for students living with disabilities. 12, Akwa Ibom Textbook Authorship and Production Incentives Grant Program. 13, Akwa Ibom Exemplary Intellectual Honors Program. 14, Akwa Ibom Education Endowment Fund, very critical. 15, OFOFEB, that is One Farm, One Factory Entrepreneurship Support Program. 16, Akwa Ibom Diaspora Engagement in Education Program. And 17, Akwa Ibom Free Education Program. Each of these 17 initiatives is a volume that follows it. Details, with timelines, with budgets. So infrastructure that government has embarked upon now is number one, yes. But beyond infrastructure, there are clear things in terms of what is the content. What are teachers having access to continuous assessment records? Are the students even assessed properly using the, like what we used to have times past, I think, sorry, I'm not doing advert for anybody. Let me not mention this, so you won't find
Please
it.
don't.
Yeah, there is a son of Akwa Ibom State who had his book adopted during the ATAS time, where students were using it to do continuous assessments. In fact, you are forced to do it because you must be able to submit your assignments. All those things have been pushed to the dustbin of history. Are there real statutory records in schools? Do they have furniture or conducive environment for the teachers? Then you come and talk about the teacher, the workforce, the student-teacher ratio. You will be shocked that there are some classes that holds up to about 100 for a teacher. How do you cope? So, His Excellency, by the grace of God, I think yesterday, the head of service was on air on a sister station, and he talked about the release of appointment letters to the 1,000 teachers who His Excellency approved on the 25th of November when we were at the Exco. Part of the palliative measures was recruitment of 1,000 teachers into the system. And His Excellency also gave directive that all the corpers that come to Akwa Ibom State, I think 90 or more, almost 100% of them, should be sent to schools to assist teachers, you understand? Because there's a shortfall, and you must make up for it. There's no magic to it. So all these areas need to be looked at. And remember, His Excellency has just 3 years to work on the plan. But the foundation that is laid will matter a lot. And what do? It's like when Joseph had a dream. And the king had a dream in Egypt, and Joseph interpreted. And at the end of the day, they didn't see any better person to go and interpret the dream. And you have to look for somebody who has the ability to interpret the dream to do it. Thank God for the Commissioner for Education. We had interface with stakeholders, different levels during the work of the committee. One of the people that did not only attend the interface with the Akwa Ibom State Education think tank was the commissioner now, Mrs.
Just a minute.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. I have a question for you. Let's take a call. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, NKO, the voice of this one, the one calling back, baby.
Oh, baby. Is your day?
Yes. Thank you very much for giving us the rundown of the committee's recommendation.
Yes, sir.
It's quite very, very interesting. But my point is still on the fact that the government still needs more to do as long as education sector is concerned. That is the bedrock of development in the society. And if we have the 90% of school dropout become the leaders of this country, how would you think the country will look like? So I feel all those points you put them up. If the government can strategically put them on board, as long as Akwa Ibom State education sector is concerned, I bet you will be the best in the country.
Absolutely.
But my thought is always that not only the government looking at this recommendation and they give a good part of it. That's always my problem. So I recommend you and I thank you very much for giving us this.
I thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, David, for calling. Well, that boils down to my question.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you've actually given us, let's say, a roadmap.
Yes.
What has been set?
Yes.
Now, how feasible is this?
it is more than visible. Why? Because these are problems. If you have seen the problem, I don't like using the term problems, I call them challenges. If you're able to identify a challenge, you'll be able to ask questions, how do I get this corrected?
Okay.
Virtually every question in the education sector has been answered in the Akwa Ibom State Strategic Education Roadmap 2020 to 2030. You know, it came out as an outcome of the 2019 Akwa Ibom State Education Summit. And it might interest to know, you read it out in my profile, that I was a council secretary for Selectai and supervisor for education. As the supervisor for education in Selectai, I organized and funded the first Selectai Education Summit. And the recommendations there, the communique, were forwarded to government. That's at the level of the local government as a personal initiative. And that cost me more than my entire earning in the council. Now, if people in different offices are able to do something that is able to solve a problem or bring a problem to the domain where the authorities can look and say, what do we do about it, is the best. So for government of Akwa Ibom State, there's anybody that tells you that we don't know what to do in this sector, that person is not well informed. And to be well informed, you need to ask the right questions. And for the benefit of those that will say, how do I assess the education roadmap? I don't know anything about it. It has been put online, aktte.com. Anybody can access that roadmap and then feed yourself. And you know, beyond the roadmap stuff, there are some things you don't even need a roadmap to do, like the private sector in education. The private sector is doing so much. In fact, without the private sector, education will have collapsed, not just in Akwa Ibom State, but in Nigeria. But what has been the government's effort to help the private sector, just like they do for industrial sector, in agri sector, government gives loans, government gives grants. But do you know what happens in the education sector, Rachel? Real heavy taxation on the private school proprietors. And privately, you know, I run a program called Open Forum. It's a magazine, and I'm on radio as well. And we are opening up for people to, you know, converse and give solutions. If you know the increase in even registration of schools, or the taxes that schools are asked to pay, some of them as much as from 1,000 to 2,500% increase. And most of these people are just doing this because they want to contribute to the development of education, not because they are making profit. Yes, there are schools that charge so very high. You need to know how much they put in there. But there are other schools that help the children of the peasant farmers who don't want to send their children to public schools for whatever reason. They just want to give what they consider as the best. In the midst of free education, you find Okada riders, Akauke, Keke riders, women that sell mfi in the market, okra. They send their children to private schools. And then you go to private schools, the proprietors have issues meeting up with demands of government. Some of them have been threatened to take to a revenue court. I'm on that matter under Open Forum to try to interface with government to see what can be done. So it's from all directions, we need to raise a conversation that private schools can be given even a board of their own. There's nothing wrong with the state government setting up a private schools board. You have more private schools than public schools. And then you have just about 10 technical schools. You have a board for technical school. So why shouldn't there be a board for private schools? Their issues can be addressed. What stops even His Excellency having an essay or a senior special assistant on private school matters? Ministry of Education is very large. And like I was trying to talk about Mrs. David, she was an SSA on education matters to the governor. But do you know that she participated in virtually all the public engagements we had under the Akwa Ibom State think tank on education? She also was one of the very few persons that submitted a memo to that committee. I personally submitted a memo. It was 3 memos. I did 3 memos. If you put my memos together, you see the volume, you wonder what is wrong with this person. Is he idle? So, you don't see the chairman is a square peg in a square hole. Yes,
perfect.
Yes, she is managing education in the noun because she is part of the conceptualization of the education roadmap. But it still boils down to what David has called twice now to say, the political will. There are some things that can be done. You fast forward it. like when I talked about the endowment fund, there's no way government can fund education alone. So the earlier His Excellency Governor Dim Emmanuel sets up an endowment fund committee, which will not be managed by government, a different body that is to look at that. You'll be shocked at how much will be generated to put into education. And at the end of the day, parents will be very happy. And before I even forget, do you know that Nigeria is ranked number 125 in the world in terms of the education ranking? And in Africa, Rachel, are you aware that we are not even within the first 10? Are you aware that we are not even within the first 20? That we are ranked 24 or 25 in Africa? You'll be shocked at the countries that ranked higher. So there's much to be done, and we cannot shy away from this conversation if we want to make the change. But for us as a people in Akwa Ibom State, I keep saying it and I will say it, that we have a roadmap that is workable, that's implementable. You can't do everything, yes, but can you just do even 30%? 30? Can you do 40? That would be awesome. If any governor attempts 70% implementation of the AXA 2020-2030 in Akwa Ibom State, will become the new destination for education tourism in Nigeria and possibly beyond.
All right, let's wrap this up. We don't have much time any longer. Looking at the state's policy of free and compulsory education for all, all right, as well as the plight of out-of-school children.
Yes.
How would you rate the state government's educational policy?
We've talked so much about the educational policy of the state government. The greatest is the roadmap, yes. But are you aware there's a new release now that Akwa Ibom State is among the first 3 in the country with the greatest number of out-of-school children? Kano State has the most with 989,234, while Akwa Ibom State has 581,800 out of schools, followed by Katsina of 536,122, Kaduna 524,670 out of school children. People will say, how come? There's no war here. This is not political. That's why when you find things like this come out, somebody will come and tell you it's political, it's not, we are not this, we are not that. These are data that are put in place by the National Bureau of Statistics. But would UBEC, no. So there is a patent danger that is confronting education, and we can boldly say that education is under attack. In Nigeria, yes. In Akwa Ibom State, you say, is it under attack? I'll say yes. If we are listed among the states with the highest number of out of school, it is serious. So when you're saying education is free and compulsory, that free is free tuition.
Here is an amazing offer you cannot afford to turn down. Your preferred station, Premium 89.9 FM, is out with a special bonanza. Pay for 3 slots of ads and get 1 free. Pay for 5 and you get 2 free. It's that simple. The more slots you pay for, the more free slots you gain. Visit our station, Premium 89.9 FM, Abak Akwa Ibom State, or call our marketing hotlines on 0706 1765284 or 0912 4898994. Our offer lasts while it can. Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station. Terms and conditions apply.
The issue has been that is education under attack, which is what the focus of the day is. In Nigeria is under attack. In Akwa Ibom, it is under attack. But that attack, the mechanism to check it has been put in place. What follows should be the political will. There is the SDG arrangement, the Sustainable Development Goals put in place by United Nations to guide, and then you also have the Child Rights Act, and most of this act has to do with how to protect the child, the vulnerables. Very importantly, before we call it a close, I want to appeal that the Child Rights Act that was domesticated should be made very known to parents, made known to authorities, because the SDG Goal 4, which deals with education, if we do not make education to be part of a fundamental human right, like I was the secretary of the position paper committee for the BBO people, we made a recommendation that education should not just be free for primary and secondary, but it should be moved from Section 2 of the 1999 Constitution, from non-justiciable right, to Section 4 that deals with fundamental human right. Education, the amendment to the 1999 Constitution, as we are working on, should capture that. So it's not just because when you say education is free and compulsory, compulsory is just a slogan, it's just a political gimmick. It's got to be really enforceable.
Okay, just finally before we go, okay, looking at the UN goals, have we gotten it right in keeping the UN's targets, the UN's goals?
We are far from it.
Okay.
Yeah, far from it.
All right, let's keep this for another day. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you guys for staying good to your preferred station. We've been talking to Citizen Mathew Koffi Okono, MKO, publisher, open forum productivity advocate, public affairs analyst, and solutionist. Former Transition Committee Secretary and Supervisor for Education, Saratai Local Government Area, a founder and director general firm of former local government political appointees and officers, AK31. He has served in Akwa Ibom State think tank on education, the authors of the Akwa Ibom Strategic Education Roadmap, AXA 2020 and 2030 as a community affiliate. He is also Secretary General at the BBO Elders Forum. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Pleasure has been mine. Thank you.
All right, you have a great day.